Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my TV and movie wrap up for May and June. So I've watched a total of 5 movies and 2 TV shows in the last 2 months. I didn't watch a lot, but I feel like everything that I watched were things that I wanted to watch and needed to watch. So I'm actually really happy with everything that I watched in May and June. I definitely need to watch more things that I mentioned in my TV shows and movies I need to watch in 2022. In that video, I mentioned a lot of TV shows and a lot of movies that I need to watch, and I still have not watched a majority of the things I mentioned in that video, so I do need to get onto that because we are halfway through the year already. I really need to step it up. Anyways, I'm going to start with the movies first, which I feel like usually I start with the TV shows, but I'm going to start with the movies first, and I'm going to try to start including ratings because I do rate everything when I put it in my TV and movie journal. I also do have a letterbox, which I do rate every movie that I watch on there. I don't have anything for TV shows. I don't know if there is a TV show equivalent website, but I still do rate TV shows in my journal. So let's get on to the 5 movies that I watched in the last 2 months. In my last TV and movie wrap up, I mentioned how I was halfway through rewatching 365 Days, and I was waiting for my friends and I to have our movie night to finish rewatching the movie, and we finally finished rewatching all of 365 Days. I had initially given this movie 3 stars, but upon my rewatch, I gave it 2.5. This movie is what it is. It's nothing spectacular. It's kind of bad, but I have seen it, I think 3 or 4 times already. For me, it's kind of just something easy and simple to watch, and if I want to just put something on in the background, I would put on this movie. A lot of it doesn't make sense. There's a lot of sex scenes, but honestly, they don't really faze me. I feel like at first I was really shocked, but now that I've seen the movie multiple times, it doesn't really bother me. I don't care that much. There's just really nothing to this movie, and I mean, that's okay. Not every movie has to make sense or be good, I guess. I mean, I like a lot of bad movies, but yeah, I rewatched this finally, which leads me to the next movie that I watched, which was 365 Days This Day. This is obviously the sequel to 365 Days. Out of 5 stars, I rated this movie half of a star. I could not even give it a full star. This genuinely was one of the worst movies I have ever seen. And I have watched a lot of bad movies. I say bad movies because I like a lot of bad movies and I don't really think they're bad, but I know objectively they are bad. But this is the worst movie I have ever seen. And I know a lot of people are what do you expect? The movie is what it is, but I expected it to make more sense considering the first movie didn't make a lot of sense, but this one made even less sense. Any critiques that they had from the first movie, they just completely ignored them for the second movie. Which I thought maybe they could improve things a little bit more, yet somehow it was worse. The entire movie has this weird yellow filter on it, which looked really bad in my opinion. And it's so strange because it does have the same directors as the first movie, but it looked so different. It looked like a new director was directing it. They barely addressed what happened at the end of the first movie. It was kind of just glazed over a little bit. Obviously there was a lot of sex scenes, but I feel like they weren't that interesting or that shocking. I feel like the first movie really held this standard, and then the sex scenes for the second movie they weren't that impressive. I mean, they were hot, but not really at the same time. Yeah, literally first 20 minutes in and there was 3 sex scenes, which was kind of wild. I feel like this whole movie was just made up of 5 seconds of dialogue, then it would be a music montage, and then it would be a sex scene. And that just repeated the entire movie, so nothing made sense and the plot barely moved forward. I mean, there was barely a plot to begin with. Also, there was some dream sequences that didn't really feel like a dream sequence. Like, they did it kind of bad where you couldn't tell if it was a dream or if it was real. Domenico and Olga were like my favorite characters. I loved how they got a little bit of a storyline. That was like the only saving grace of this movie. This movie just had no plot or storytelling. The acting was just bad, very basic. And also, like, none of the music was good either. And they had a lot of music. Like, almost every single scene had music, and none of it was that great. I am curious to see what they're going to do in the last movie. I will be watching it, unfortunately. The next movie I watched was Cheaper by the Dozen 2. This was a rewatch for me. I gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars. This I rewatched because one night when my friends were over, my internet wasn't working that well, so we decided to watch a DVD that I had, and this was the one that they picked. This movie I loved when I was a kid. My brother and I would watch it all the time. I don't think it held up as well. I definitely think this movie aged a lot. This movie is silly and fun, but it's not as funny as I remember it being when I was a kid. I could not tell you the last time I have watched it, so it was kind of fun to rewatch it. The next movie that I watched was Corpse Bride. This I gave 4 out of 5 stars. This is a movie I mentioned in my TV shows and movies I need to watch by the end of the year. So at least I watched one movie that was in that video. I loved this movie, and I went into it knowing absolutely nothing. I've just seen that it's kind of a popular movie, and I've always seen people dress up as Corpse Bride for like Halloween and stuff, so I finally watch this movie. I loved the whole vibe of this movie. I really want to rewatch it around Halloween because I just think that would be a lot more fun. I loved how gray and blue this movie was, and I found it super interesting how it got very, very colorful when they were like in the afterlife or like in death, I guess. It seemed very bright and vibrant, and the complete opposite of how it was when the characters are living. I don't know if that was intentional, but it is something I noticed. I really loved the animation style in general. I thought it was very unique. There were definitely some cute and funny moments, and I loved how there was a little bit of like some musical numbers, which I did not expect. I didn't expect like any music in this movie, so that was fun. All of the actors did a good job with the voice acting. I really enjoyed that. I loved all the characters and all of the little romances that were going on. I also guessed the plot at the end. I did guess that twist. Well, actually, there's kind of like 2 twists if you really think about it. One of them I guessed. Overall, I just really loved this movie, and I'm very excited to rewatch it around Halloween. And the last movie that I watched in the last 2 months was Alice in Wonderland. This I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. This is the 1951 animated version. I have never seen any Alice in Wonderland movies. I haven't read the book either. I've seen snippets of all of the movies before, just on social media and stuff, but I finally watched this one and I really enjoyed it. I wish I would have watched it as a kid because I think I would have loved it a lot more. I loved all the voice acting and the animation and how colorful everything was. It was so bright and fun and weird. I loved all the jokes and the riddles and the musical numbers. The movie as a whole is very interesting, like the whole concept. I definitely want to watch all of the other versions, and I do eventually want to read the book. I do own it. I think it's somewhere over here actually. Yeah, it's right here. I do have this edition, which is very, very pretty. Overall, it was a really good movie. I just wish I would have watched it when I was a kid. Now onto the TV shows. So the first one I watched was Mayans season 4. Overall, I give this season a 4 out of 5 stars. Usually I watch Mayans as it airs on TV. Like I watch it every Tuesday. But this time around, I decided I would wait until all the episodes were out and I could binge the entire season. Season 4 was so chaotic. So much was happening. I obviously don't want to spoil anything. If you are familiar with the show, it is about a motorcycle club and it's a spinoff of Sons of Anarchy. Season 4 picks up like right after the end of season 3, so there's lots of stuff going on, lots of action. I was curious to see how they were going to end that and it made sense, but also at the same time I felt like that was so easy, like it was too easy. But then later on in the season I'm like, okay, it wasn't that easy. Like a lot of things developed later. I was so sad about Angel's storyline. A lot was happening for him in his personal life, and a lot of it made me really sad. And I feel like with what happened, they did a really good job with that. I really liked that resolution that happened. Easy. I love Easy, but he made me so angry in this season. He made me so mad. His decisions, I was not okay with. I don't like this man that Easy is becoming. I don't like it. And I'm kind of scared. I don't know if season 5 was renewed or not, but if it is, I'm very curious to see where Easy's storyline is going to go. For season 4, we got a little bit more storyline for some of the other club members, which I enjoyed. I felt bad for a lot of the club members. They really went through a lot of shit. I'm so happy with the reveal about Miguel. I'm so excited to see where that goes in the next season. Hopefully we get a season 5 because that's going to be very, very interesting. I'm glad that was finally confirmed. Also, I loved the guest star that we got. We got a really good guest star in the last episode, which I loved. It was wild, but so nice to see that character back. Overall, season 4 was very messy and chaotic and action-packed, but I really enjoyed it, and I really hope we get a 5th season because I really want to see what happens next. And the last thing that I watched in May and June was Driven Season 3. I actually made a whole video on this, so I will link that video down below. This is a Passionflix adaptation. The book is Crashed by Kay Bromberg. It's the 3rd book in the Driven series, so the 3rd season obviously follows the 3rd book. I didn't rate the TV show in that video, which I wish I would have, but I gave season 3 a 3 out of 5 stars. I definitely would have to rewatch the entire show to really pick what season I loved the most. However, I did enjoy season 3 more than season 2 for sure. Obviously, it's very close to the book and the acting was all right. It was decent. I loved the music that they used in the show, and I enjoyed the directing and the overall cinematography. The sex scenes were decent. I definitely think the actress who plays Riley, Olivia, definitely stole all of the scenes that she was in. I truly think that she was one of the better actors in this show. I also really enjoy the actors who play Beckett and Hattie. To be fair, I didn't love the book, and because the adaptation is so close to the book, I feel the same about the TV show, or about season 3 specifically. I just wasn't that emotionally attached to Riley and Colton and their story. I am happy I watched season 3, and I'm so happy Passionflix has finally finished this chapter. I feel like they have been working on this series for years, so it's nice to see them finally finished with the series. So that was everything that I watched in May and June. Let me know if you have watched any of the things that I mentioned and what your thoughts are on them. Also, let me know what you have been watching recently and if you have any new recommendations for me. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, follow me on all my other social media, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!